In Elizabethan England, politics, religion, and espionage became inseparable. The struggle between Protestant England and Catholic Europe was fought not only by armies and diplomats, but also by couriers carrying ciphered letters, priests operating under assumed names, and agents infiltrating foreign embassies. At the centre of Elizabeth's Privy Council stood William Cecil, Lord Burleigh. For more than a decade, Cecil had served as the Queen's principal secretary and most trusted political advisor. Cecil understood that timely information could be as important to the survival of Protestant England as soldiers or warships. He was the founder and first head of the permanent English intelligence service operating in the interests of national security. In 1572, he became Lord High Treasurer. The following year, another formidable figure, Francis Walsingham, assumed the offices of Principal Secretary and Spymaster. As ambassador to France and head of a spy network in Western Europe, Walsingham had already accumulated considerable experience. He had observed firsthand the violence of the French wars of religion, including the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of 1572. After returning to England, he expanded the spy network, stretching across England, Scotland, and continental Europe. Walsingham became the figure most closely associated with the operational direction of Elizabethan intelligence, while Cecil remained one of the principal architects of Elizabethan England's national security policy. In February 1570, Pope Pius V issued the bull Regnans in Excelsis, which excommunicated Queen Elizabeth and denounced her as a heretic. The most dangerous part of the bull for Elizabeth was the one that freed her subjects from their obligations of allegiance to her. The Catholic religion of an English subject did not in itself automatically make him a conspirator. Many English Catholics sought simply to maintain their religion while remaining politically loyal to the crown. But Elizabeth's members of the Privy Council faced genuine conspiracies involving English Catholic exiles and foreign powers. After 1570, the Privy Council increasingly viewed links between English Catholics, Rome, Spain, and Mary Stuart, former Queen of Scots, through the lens of national security. Mary was Catholic with a dynastic claim to the English throne. He had fled Scotland and entered England in 1568, where she was placed under house arrest. Since then, Mary has become a central figure in a series of conspiracies aimed at changing the order of succession to the throne in England. The Ridolfi plot of 1571 demonstrated how dangerous Mary Stuart was to Protestant England and to Queen Elizabeth. The plot involved plans for foreign intervention, a Catholic uprising, the assassination of Elizabeth, and the transfer of the English crown to Mary, along with her marriage to the Duke of Norfolk. The conspiracy was exposed by the combined actions of Cecil, Walsingham, and their spies. As a result, Thomas Howard, Duke of Norfolk, was executed. At the same time, another challenge was developing across papal Rome. In 1579, the Cardinal of the Roman Catholic Church, William Mallon, established the Venerable English College in Rome on the model of the English College at Douai, founded by Allen in the Spanish Netherlands. The English College at Rome was placed under the control of the Society of Jesus, as part of a plan to send Jesuit missionaries to England, the so-called English missions. Its purpose was to educate Catholic clergy who could preserve and revive the Catholic faith in England. The college became one of the principal sources of missionary priests sent secretly into England. Priests crossed the Channel clandestinely. They celebrated Mass in private houses, heard confessions, and maintained networks of Catholic worship hidden from the authorities. To the missionaries, this was a struggle for souls. However, the same underground networks sometimes provided cover for political conspiracy and foreign intervention. Walsingham closely monitored the activities of the English College in Rome. Among the seminarians at the English College was Anthony Munday, English playwright, writer, and Walsingham's spy. Under a false name, as the son of a prominent English Catholic, Munday received recommendations that secured him admission to the English College. Information received from Munday led to the arrest and execution or exile of many missionary priests of English missions. Harsh laws were in force in Protestant England. The Oath of Supremacy, introduced by King Henry VII of England through the Act of Supremacy of 1534, required any person taking public or church office in the Kingdom of England to swear allegiance to the monarch as supreme governor of the church. Failure to do so was to be treated as treasonable. Nevertheless, hundreds of missionary priests continued to cross the Channel. Many of them were arrested, executed, or imprisoned and then expelled. Later, they were recognized as martyrs and canonized by the Roman Catholic Church. The first English mission of the Jesuits took place in late 1580. The Jesuits Edmund Campion and Robert Persons entered England. They travelled in secret and relied on Catholic households for shelter. Campion went from house to house, preaching, celebrating Mass, and providing spiritual support to Catholics. Persons helped organize the mission and the clandestine network that sustained it. Also, Persons secretly print and distribute anti-Protestant pamphlets. In mid-June 1581, Campion, tracked down by Walsingham's agent, was arrested and executed after trial. In 1970, Edmund Campion was canonized by Pope Paul VI. Robert Persons escaped. He left England and spent the remainder of his life abroad, becoming one of the important and politically controversial figures of the English Catholic exile movement. He worked with Cardinal William Allen and Welsh Catholic Hugh Owen and became an advocate of foreign intervention against Protestant Elizabethan England. Soon, Walsingham uncovered something far more dangerous than a clandestine printing press. In 1580, the young English Catholic named Francis Throckmorton left England and travelled through continental Europe. In Paris, he came into contact with prominent Catholic exiles, including Thomas Morgan and Charles Paget, who were agents of Mary Stuart. By the time Throckmorton returned to England in 1583, plans for the Catholic plot had already been laid. It was envisaged that Catholic troops would invade England at the same time as an uprising of English Catholics. The invading force was to be commanded by Henry, Duke of Guise, head of one of the most influential Catholic families in France. Queen Elizabeth was to be assassinated. The crown of England will pass to Mary Stuart. The Duke of Guise marries Mary Stuart and becomes royal co-regent. Catholicism was to be restored as the state religion. Spanish support was crucial to the plot. One of its most important diplomatic participants was Bernardino de Mendoza, Spain's ambassador to London. Throckmorton was a courier and intermediary linking Mary's supporters, Mendoza, and the French embassy, which was an extraordinarily important communications centre. Mary's correspondence was passed through the household of the French ambassador, Michel de Castelnau, before being sent on to her allies abroad. In May 1582, border guards on the Scottish-English border captured a spy. They found letters from the Spanish ambassador to England, Bernardino de Mendoza, to contacts in Scotland. From the contents of these letters, which were forwarded to Francis Walsingham, he received general and incomplete information about the existence of a Catholic conspiracy directed against Elizabethan England. Among Walsingham's informants in the French ambassador's entourage was a spy who signed intelligence reports as Henry Fagot. His position was extremely advantageous, allowing Fagot to report suspicious visitors to Walsingham. One such visitor was Francis Throckmorton. Another Walsingham's spy, William Fowler, the Scottish poet, who had infiltrated the French ambassador's entourage, informed Walsingham of the contents of some of Mary Stuart's letters that the ambassador had given him to read. For approximately 6 months, Walsingham's spies monitored Throckmorton's secret meetings with Catholic agents and the Spanish ambassador, Bernardino de Mendoza. This allowed them to trace the entire conspirators' network. By November 1583, Walsingham had collected enough evidence to destroy the plot. Throckmorton was arrested at his London house while handling secret correspondence related to Mary Stuart. The search revealed materials that reveal the conspiracy. Investigators discovered lists of English Catholic sympathizers ready to rebel, detailed maps of the English coastline identifying ideal harbors for a foreign invasion, arguments supporting Mary Stuart's claim to the English crown, and evidence linking Throckmorton to the network planning foreign intervention. Throckmorton was arrested and imprisoned in the Tower of London. Under torture, he confessed to his role in the plot, detailing Mary Stuart's knowledge of the plan and naming the Spanish ambassador, Mendoza, as the main organizer of the plot. Diplomatic status protected Bernardino de Mendoza, as the accredited ambassador of Philip II of Spain, from the fate awaiting Throckmorton, but it could not keep him in England. In January 1584, Elizabeth ordered Mendoza expelled from the kingdom. He would be the last resident Spanish ambassador at Elizabeth's court. On the 21st of May 1584, Francis Throckmorton was tried for high treason at London's Guildhall. He was convicted. On the 10th of July, he was taken to Tyburn and executed. The plot was broken. But to Cecil and Walsingham, the lesson was disturbing rather than reassuring. Despite all their efforts, the Catholic powers continued to pursue plans to support Mary Stuart's dynastic claims to the English crown. Then, in July 1584, another event sent a shock through Protestant Europe. William the Silent, leader of the Dutch revolt against Spanish rule, was assassinated. The assassination of the leader of the Dutch Protestant movement could trigger the assassination of Queen Elizabeth. The atmosphere in England became increasingly fearful. In October 1584, Elizabeth's supporters formulated the Bond of Association. Its signatories pledged themselves to defend the Queen and to pursue those responsible for any attempt upon her life. Crucially, the association was designed to ensure that anyone for whose benefit Elizabeth was assassinated could not simply profit by succeeding her. Mary Stuart signed the bond. In March 1585, Parliament transformed much of this political principle into statute through the Act for the Queen's Safety. The legislation provided a procedure by which commissioners could investigate plots against Elizabeth involving a claimant to the throne. A claimant found implicated in such a conspiracy could be excluded from the succession and subjected to the consequences established by the statute. This was legislation that carried the possibility of the execution of Mary Stuart and played a dramatic role in her fate during the Babington plot.